Hello, hello, hello. What's going on? We are back doing another movie review. Um, I'm somewhat of a big kid, so I like Disney movies as well. So I'm not going to exclude Disney movies out of this collection of when I decide to do movie reviews. I decided to do Moana 2. Honestly, I never really was a big fan of Moana, the first, of course, just the first movie, but I guess I don't know. I guess I appreciate the message. Essentially, from the first movie, the message that I get is that just it's always like the same kind of corny shit. It's like be true to yourself and shit like that. Be true to your heart. Be true to yourself. Know what you love. Do what you love. It's all that's essentially the same message that's been propagated throughout over 20 movies of Disney movies. That's essentially like the main goal of damn near every movie, every Disney movie. But let's get into it because we have characters and then we have key points, and there's not really a whole lot of them. So, as characters, of course, we have Moana, Maui, Samea, Lato, Kele, Moni, Matangi, Tui, Sina, Tala, Hehe, Nalo, and Matai Vasa. Um, some of these characters are definitely new. Honestly, a lot of these characters are new, and I love that they did that. But also, I don't know. It's definitely when when you bring in new characters, you have to get used to a different vibe, or they have to make an impression. But one of the first key points is Moana away from home. Based on the last movie, that was the biggest objective is the fact that um, her father didn't want her to go like past a certain point. I think like past the reef. Her father didn't want her to go past a certain point. So then by the end of that movie, they get over that. They come to find out that they are wayfinders, etc., etc. They get over that, but I did think that that was definitely a key point to talk about in the beginning because of the fact that you see Moana. It opens up with Moana on like some kind of little island rock formation by herself, except for with the pig Pua and the chicken Hey Hey. Other than that, she's on the island by herself, and she's blowing on the trying to get in contact with somebody, maybe some other tribe, some other group of people. Maybe they might hear her, and so on and so forth. They could meet, have new family, have new friends, etc., etc. Um, so based on that, that's definitely something. And then also with when she was deciding to return home, it showed her over like a couple days, so it wasn't like just her just up and deciding to turn left and go home and she's there. Now she was out there for like a day or two, so definitely lets you know like the freedom that now comes with the idea of her being away from home, and now that she is a wayfinder, considered a wayfinder. Um, Another part that we pick up on is Maui is in trouble. We see Maui, of course, in his gloriousness, with his hair and stuff like that. We see Maui in this area, this kind of foggy area and whatnot, and he's searching for something, or at least he's doing something. He's like, it seems like he's on like a little side mission, but then you get to see somebody who is essentially like a ghost to him. Like every time he's trying to swing at this individual or something, they're getting the best of him. So honestly, it's letting you know that Maui is in some form of trouble. um Moana gets a dream from the ancestors. Pretty much it's Matai Vasa, who's played by Gerald Ramsey. Um, Dream from the ancestors pretty much had like her island, but it was pretty much saying like, if y'all continue the way that y'all are doing, that this is gonna be the outcome of the island. That there's gonna be nobody left on the island, and this is gonna be it. And pretty much, giving you the idea that it's like, yeah, y'all are on this island, but it's like all y'all know is this island. You know what I mean? So it's like, what's stopping that from? What's stopping y'all from being able to find other people, or being able to go out and about, you know, to, you know, and honestly, keep it 100, it hits on a deeper level than just, oh yeah, we can find new friends and stuff like that. No, it really breaks down to the idea that it's like, uh, it makes you think of the idea of incest. Because it's like, if we have all these people here, and, you know, granted, not all these people are related to each other, you know, but at the same time, it's like, we have these people here. How much time can we multiply and add and subtract? How many times can we do that until there's only going to be one person left? And it's like, that person probably going to be a cousin to everybody else on the island. So honestly, it goes deeper than that. It really does go deeper than just, oh yeah, we're just looking for new friends, new who will, like, no, y'all looking for, I don't want to say that, but I mean, let's be real, y'all looking for a fuck. Like, not even, I mean, that's not the truth, but I mean, it's like, in a sense, it's like, if you think about it, not too far from the truth. But gathering a team, I love that, because, you know, with there being new characters, you know, you have to figure out pretty much where you're gonna get them from. And when you see some of the new characters that she adds onto her ship, is Salato, who is the builder. That's the person that designed her last ship, the ship that we see in the beginning, who's played by Rose Matafeo, Matafeo. Not sure if I pronounced that correct. Kele, who is, I just have him labeled as an old dude on the boat, but he's not the nurturer, but he's like a gardener. And he's played by David Fane. And then we have Moni, who I have labeled as a Mui lookalike. There's a couple times in the movie where literally they make fun of the idea, where honestly you have more so Moni making fun of the idea that, you know, him and Maui are cool like that, but then also you have a lot of times that, like, when they're thinking of seeing Maui, or like the idea of Maui, then all of a sudden he pops up. So I just thought that was kind of funny. I thought it was kind of interesting as well, just going back a little bit, because I'm kind of like all over the place. Moana having a little sister. I don't remember in the end or near, you know, or in Moana, the first one, I don't remember them saying anything about Cena being pregnant. I don't remember them saying anything about that, but obviously she was pregnant, and it's not just a little baby. It's somebody who can run. I mean, like, she's obviously, like, at this point she's a toddler, and she's played by, her name is Samaya, but she's played by Khaleesi Lambert Suda. So I definitely think that was interesting. Also, just another one, just going back a little bit, Moana being the only wayfinder. Like, you have this whole island of, you know, men, older women, stuff like that. But as far as we see, Moana is the only person that is going out venturing. I thought that was kind of interesting. I'm just like, the fuck? Like, y'all doing all this shit, talking about, you know, but then literally she's the only person that's actually going out here and attempted to look. Also, Maui not wanting to contact Moana. At one time, you know, when I brought up the idea of Maui being in trouble, one of the things that, you know, if you remember, his tattoos are like somewhat animated, and he has like a little mini him as one of his tattoos, and it's the idea that literally, you know, the tattoo was, they're trying to bring up the idea of Moana, and he's like, no, I don't want to bring up Moana. And, you know, we get into that. I mean, honestly, spoilers ahead of time, but honestly, what it comes down to is that Nalo is a god, and he does not like humans. So that's the reason why Maui didn't want to bring or involve Moana at all, because essentially there's a possibility that she can die. You know, Maui will take that chance. He's a demigod. He's half god. He'll take that chance with him. But with a straight human, yeah. Another key point, you know, moving forward, Kakamura, the coconut men. it actually helps out and becomes part of the crew. At first, when you think of the Kakamura, at first when you think of the Kakamura and whatnot, you think of like from the first movie, they were not really that friendly, nor did they want anything to do with anybody outside of what they had going on. But then it kind of turns into, um, you see like kind of like a family relationship, because you see one of the Kakamura, who's I would assume he would be the king, or like the leader of all of them, because he had like more stuff on, he was wearing more stuff and whatnot. um this Kakamura that became part of Moana's crew was, I assume, was like his right hand man, if not his son. um its son. I mean, we don't really know the race or the sex of them, so, but I mean, I would assume. But all in all, the Kakamura lets Moana and the people know, that the rest of her crew know, that he's not here for beef. He's not here for what's called, once they start speaking about uh Motofetu, that's when he starts bringing, he kind of lets them know, like, hey, look, we're all kind of looking for the same thing. So another interesting part is when we finally get to Matangi. Matangi is the woman who is essentially is Nalo's um like muscle, I guess you want to say. But before you get to Nalo, you got to get through her. That's pretty much the best way to put it. One thing that I found interesting is the music that played for her in comparison to everybody else. Everybody else was a lot more away, away, I will go beyond all this type of stuff and whatnot, right? But when it got to Matangi had a very kind of, I don't even want to say soulful, I want to say more like disco. Like, it was bright lights, and the way that the music was playing, some of the the riffs and her singing and stuff like that, kind of really let you know, or made you think that out of anything, Matangi was played. It made you think that Matangi was played by a black woman. Now, granted, I didn't look up if she was a black woman or not. I just looked up her name. But Matangi is played by, excuse me for butchering this, Ahimai Fraser. I could be totally butchering that, but I will take a chance and try. Correct me if I'm wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But I didn't really. It's not so much that I found it interesting. It's just I found it. I'll say that I found it interesting, but it's like it was in a different way of interest. You know what I mean? It was more like a eye squint interest more than a puppy, like, I didn't think about that. It was more just, I don't know. And then right here I have why Maui didn't want Moana's help, and that's just pretty much reiterating, because Nalo is an asshole, and he'll kill humans literally in the process. When they actually go to they get close to Motofetu, they get close. When they get close, it actually shows that while Maui at first is trying to attack the lightning bolts that Nalo is sending, that the lightning bolts aren't going after Maui. They're going after Moana and the crew. So that's what Moana comes to the conclusion of. She's like, hey, look, Maui, you go and do what you got to do. I'll be over here and I'll just try to avoid these lightning bolts and stuff like that, because he's aiming at me. He's not aiming at you. He doesn't like you, but he's not aiming at you. And that continues up until Maui actually takes his hook and connects it to, or hooks it onto the island and starts rising it. Once he does that, that's when Nalo strikes him down, and that's what made me question at first. It was like, all right, so since we know that Maui is a demigod, does that mean that Nalo is like just straight God? Because how is he able to strip somebody of their powers if they're on like the same playing field? So pretty much came to that conclusion, just questioning that. And also in that process, when they have a moment because um Maui is going after the island, but he gets struck down. They go and get Moana goes and tries to, like, I guess she goes and tries to get to the island like herself or some stuff like that. But then what ends up happening, I don't know if she gets struck by the lightning bolt before that, but in the black and white, they have like a sit down. They have like a re-up before they go and try again, because they tried 2 times to raise the island. The first time they kind of was just like, you know what, we need to take a time out. We need to take a cuddle up. Like let's huddle up and whatnot. Let's think about how we're gonna do this. So in the process when they actually do that, they actually find the raft from Matai Vasa. And I thought that was very interesting, because it's like, you know, for the most part in her dream, that's what he was telling her, is he was like, you need to go further than I did. You know, you need to go further than I did. You have to go harder than I did and stuff like that. So it's the idea that literally that's his vessel, and that he tried, but he did not succeed. He tried, but did not succeed and whatnot. So that definitely gives you an imprint and give you an envisionment of really what happened. Because, you know, between Nalo not liking humans and then you finding this raft abandoned, kind of lets you know what happens. One thing that I didn't really care for is the fact that we never actually see Nalo. We actually never see Nalo until the end of the movie, when he is actually punishing Matangi, because the only way that Moana and her crew could have gotten past Matangi is if Matangi allowed them. Because if Matangi was able to capture Maui, that lets you know that she's obviously somebody to be reckoned with. So no human could have gotten past her. Makes you wonder, how did Matai Vasa get past her then? Because if his raft was found after they got past Matangi, and was, you know, after that point, it's like, makes you wonder. So then in this next process, in this next step, so yeah, Maui doesn't get struck by that lightning yet. I don't think he got struck by that lightning yet. Something happens to him to where they have to go and help him and stuff like that. I think he does get struck by that lightning though, because I know, and this is the second time. This is when they go and try again. And in the process, this is when Moana is like, she's trying to get motherfucking Maui to raise the island, but Nalo, I think this is when Nalo does strike Maui with the lightning, because then the only connection that she has with the island is when she actually physically jumps off the raft and goes down there and swims to the island and touches it. She actually touches it, but Nalo's lightning bolt got to her around that same time. So Moana actually dies in this movie. And it just made me think, like, I'm like, yo, they have like Disney's getting a little dark. Because it's like, you know what I mean? Like, she literally fucking dies. Like, she dies and shit. Now, granted, Maui is able to, like, recite some chant and stuff like that and call upon her ancestors and stuff like that, and that brings her back to life, and she becomes, like, essentially a goddess. Like, she gets, like, tattoos and stuff that are glowing, and her little paddle thing and whatnot is glowing too, like, similar to Maui's. Because Maui, when he got struck by lightning, he actually got stripped of his god powers. So you don't see no tattoos on him whatsoever. So right now, he was just straight human. It's not until around that same time that Moana gets her demigod powers that then Maui gets his demigod powers back too. So then, you know, when they raise the island comes up, sings a nice little happy song, blah, blah, blah. And then what is amazing, what's honestly funny at first, but then becomes amazing, is in the beginning when Moana is on that little deserted island and she calls on the conch, trying to see if anybody can hear her. Hey, the chicken actually had swallowed another conch. So when she blows out and whatnot, she hears a blow back, and she's like, she gets excited and shit for a second, but then boom, she turns around. It's a chicken choking. It's literally a chicken about to die. So then when they do it again. Now that Motofetu is lifted, does it again, and ironically, same thing happens. She turns around. Hey has a conch stuck in his throat. But then, once she realizes that was Hey, she hears another blow, and she looks and she sees somebody out in the distance. They get close. Boom. This is the first look we get to see of black people in the Moana verse, or in the Moana world. Because literally this brother gets off the raft. He has locks. Like short locks, they're pulled back and stuff, but he has locks. Has an afro. Now granted, when you look at Kele and you look at some of the other characters in Moana, like on her island and whatnot, you can tell that, there are some derivatives of black, you know what I mean? Because for the most part, a lot of the islanders, hands down, are black, straight up. But this is the first time we actually get to see straight up black people and whatnot. So then, when Moana is finally heading home, then boom, she heads home. Her everybody's happy to see her and stuff like that. But then looks out in the distance. There's the rest of the islanders that have been, searching around, looking around as well. So then it just shows that it's like, and then the irony, because then they're all sitting down having a drink, kind of just like welcome, this and the third. They're having a drink and whatnot, and learning from each other, becoming friends. Cool stuff is happening. But Moana looks to her dad and she says, this is only the beginning, like this is only the start. But she's kind of meaning like this is only the beginning. Like, imagine what we're gonna do from here. Like the buildings that we'll make, the families that will be coursed, the food we'll eat, she's thinking of it like that, I guess. But then we transition to Nalo, the first look of Nalo, who is a god, black man. He has has like a little mini fro, but he has like these purple markings, and even his eyes turn like a bright neon kind of purple. It's really kind of cool. But what ends up happening is we get to see that Matangi is essentially getting punished, but then we get to see Nalo for the first time. And this is the first time we actually get to see Nalo the whole movie. You know what I mean? Like we don't, now granted, I'll say that because I guess in the first movie, not Nefertiti, the island that was alive and whatnot, like that's the first time we get to see her. That's the first time we get to see her. We don't see her as some nice chick at first. We don't get to see her as some beautiful island at first. We get to see her. She is at first a mean, fiery, violent looking individual. She is not happy. She is not happy at all. So all in all, I'm not really a big fan of the whole singing and dancing. So that's already taking some demerits right there. I'm not a big fan of the whole singing and dancing and stuff like that, musicals and stuff. I'm not really a big fan of it, but I do like the idea, the inclusion. I like how the movie goes, and then honestly, it's kind of setting up for sequels after that. So honestly, I'm game. I'm down to see what happens. See where this franchise goes, and to see how far it goes. You know what I mean? So slowly but surely. But out of anything, I give it singing and dancing 10-9. And then not seeing Nalo until the end of the movie, 8. I give it a 7. And then her being the only fucking wayfinder, I give it a 6. I'm satisfied on that. I give it a 6. Stay tuned. I have another movie that I'm going to do a review on maybe tomorrow, maybe later on today. I'm not sure. But love, peace, chicken grease. Like, comment, follow, subscribe, and don't forget to check out some of my other pages and whatnot, because we are always thriving to be better.